lately, the last couple of months, they've been just going crazy nonstop. There seems to be, between the back of my house, which is on the main road, and the front of my house, which is opposite the road that connects to the river road, which is the entrance to the indigenous community, there's so many dogs. I mean, I look at any given time of the day, I look out the front of the back window, and there's a dozen of them, just walking in the parking lot, scavenging for food, and the cats. I've noticed a lot of cats too, and they're starting to, and you can't blame them, they're animals, but they're attacking the trash.
Yes.
Now, so we have to keep our trash inside the gate until the trash comes. But I feel really bad for them because I know what they're doing. They're just trying to eat.
That's right. Trying to survive.
They're trying to survive. And yeah, I know people think they're annoying and all that, but they're creatures.
This is BoqueteNOW 15 years ago.
Yeah.
When we started. I've been here almost 18 years. And I mean, there were dogs everywhere. Everybody said we didn't have a cat problem, but mousers. So, they would come out at night. You wouldn't see them during the day. Now you see cats during the day because we've sterilized a lot of cats, so they're not having to compete for all that food. But what you're seeing now is this conglomeration of dogs and cats looking for food. And, as an individual, what a person can do is to go to their Panamanian neighbor and say, here, let me help you with some dog and cat food.
Right.
Because they know who has the dogs and the cats, for criminy sakes. Yeah. I'm personally feeding, helping some friends who lost their jobs, couldn't work, and I know they have enough food for their table. Okay, I supply food occasionally, but normally I'm headed for their dog, and they're embarrassed. But, and I understand that, but it's like, man, you gotta feed your animals. We have to feed our animals.
Yeah, dog food. I know that those of us who a lot of the expat community, we'll go to the store, and dog food's not expensive to us.
Right.
You can get a 20-pound bag of dog food for $15. $15-20. You can get a 50-pound bag of dog food for about $35.
Yeah.
And in the grand scheme of things, to a lot of us, it's not a lot of money.
Right.
But to a lot of people here, that's their grocery bill. That's all they have to feed their family. So it would behoove us to, while we're at the store, to pick up. You don't even have to pick up a big bag. I mean, if you had 100 people pick up a 4-pound bag of dog food for $7.
Well, you also don't have to go to PriceSmart. You could go to Mascota, or you can go to
La Granja.
La Granja.
Yeah.
And also if you don't want to buy a huge bag, Mascota sells smaller portions that you can easily pick up and buy. So you don't have to make the trip to PriceSmart. You can do it here. Yes. And the prices at Mascota's and PriceSmart are not that much different.
No, they're not. They're not. And every little bit helps. I know
every little bit helps.
And it's not just bringing it to you guys or bringing it over to dog camp. And I talk to them regularly, and they're slammed.
Yes,
they're
slammed.
They're at above capacity,
and people are abandoning animals at their gate,
and
just dropping a dog and driving away. I mean, it's awful.
And I have to give a shout out, by the way, to La Grande,
of course,
and especially to Lucy, because I brought two of my little. I have 3 dogs. One of them is a regular rescue, and it was tied up out in the yard for 2 years on a 3-foot chain. But the one that I just got, some expats had to leave the country for health reasons. And she's a tiny little Pomeranian diva. And my other one's a little Pomeranian Chihuahua. They're just divas.
Yeah.
And I brought them over there, and Lucy did such an unbelievable, they do such a great job. And they both got haircuts, they got baths, they got their nails done, their ears done.
Do they do people?
I know, right? And they're very reasonable,
bathtub.
and they're wonderful people over there, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. It's totally unsolicited, but they're very very good people.
Yeah, it's really great that they come in, and certainly in Alto Boquete, where you don't even have to go to downtown Boquete.
Yeah.
And so it's very convenient to pick up food and medicine, and they're very pleasant people.
And they're knowledgeable.
They are. And I live in Bajo, and I'll come to Alto to go.
Yeah, but you just
I
barely
know, that's right. Yeah, I live in Bajo. Well, kind of
and
on
they
the
also
edge.
have a vet. They have 2 vets that they can work with.
They can work with.
Yeah.
So look them up on Facebook. They're not hard to find. Now, I wanted to ask you about the feeding stations, because we talked about this a couple of times, last couple of times you were on, and I'm still completely fascinated by that, because where I lived before I came here for many, many years, no, that was unheard of. No one ever did that. You know, if you had a stray, the most common thing that people in the towns I lived in was to just shoot it. You know, there was no, let's try to help them, right? And I don't have to tell you what part of the country I lived in. But when I found out about these feeding stations, I thought to myself, this is, wow, what a wonderful thing to do. What a selfless gesture, you know, to put out an area on your property and supply it for strays. But now I'm guessing, because of having so much more need because of what we talked about, the people abandoning their animals. How are the feeding stations doing, and what kind of help do they need? Is it pretty much the same?
It's essentially the same. So Kirsten and Ray are typically our cat people.
Mm-hmm.
And so and let me tell you, they deliver 20 bags of cat food a month to their feeding stations around Boquete. So applause for Kirsten and Ray, and they can always use cat food and money, of course. In the meantime, they're very connected with Martha Miranda, who lives in Bajo. And Martha's been one of our volunteers for a long, long time, since we began the clinic. She has her hand on Bajo. She knows what strange dogs are walking around, who the owners are, where they're going, and so forth. And just around from El Oasis is a wonderful Panamanian husband and wife team, Virgilio and Carmen, and they have like 12 dogs that they're fostering. And so we channel, along with Naren Cutton and other people, to feed dog food to and take care of these animals. And if you have one animal, eventually you have two, and you have three.
They seem to multiply, don't they?
So that's what happens with our feeding stations too. And Uba, who is our favorite cat lady up in Alto Lino, she's been there forever. She was a domestic worker. When we got here, we started this 15 years ago, and she had like 18 cats. Now this is a domestic worker.
Sure.
And how much money is she making a day? $20,
Maybe, yeah,
15 years ago.
Yeah.
And she is feeding those cats.
Wow.
So since that, now she's in the 40 cat range. And just recently, some indigenous neighbors went back to the comarca and left their 4 dogs. And so now, of course, her big heart and her daughter's heart, her daughter is Rita, and so Rita. So what I'm saying is, there are many, many Panamanians who have hearts that are gigantic.
Yes.
I mean, they really are big, and they care so much about the animals. And about Basti is another, and she's in Bajo Boquete.
Yeah.
And she has both dogs and cats. And these are people, and Rosemary is up in Jaramillo, close to where Carol lives, and she takes care of 3 indigenous families with 12 dogs, 2 of whom are pregnant. So that's what, I mean, I'm just telling you, there are people everywhere who are trying to help, but they're totally overwhelmed. They need our help, and that's why we, as I said, channeled our funding not to the sterilization clinics, but to food. And now we're distributing food as much as we possibly can with the donations that are coming in. And if you do $100, then you get a ticket, and that drawing is on July 4th at the Rock, and there are 3 wonderful prizes.
Plus cash.
Plus cash.
Plus cash. Or cash.
Yeah, or cash. And then, if you don't have that much, you can go to our website and click up in the on the upper corner and go to PayPal, or throw money at me if you see me on the street. Hey, I'll take it. Yeah, and so will Carol.
You can deposit in our bank also.
Yeah, everything is on the website.
Before we part today, I'll get that information from you, and I'll put it on my show promo, which I do after every show. But for those who are listening now, what is the website?
www.aad as in David, A, B as in boy, .org. adab.org.
adab.org.
Yeah.
Okay. And will you be willing to share the bank account number?
Yes, I can email
Yeah,
you.
email that to me.
Yeah, it's actually on the
global.
website. It's on the
Okay.
website.
And we're also a 501c3 in the United States, so it's a tax deduction
Tax
for you.
deductible, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And we've had really good donors. I mean, one of my clients donated $1,000, and he came here as a visiting in one of my rentals, and I took him to see Animales, and he just started counting out money. It was like, wow, cool.
We need more of those.
yeah, and I know there's more of you out there that can do that.
Yeah.
I know some of you can just peel off hundreds and not even feel it. So
Aren't we a tax deduction in Panama also?
Yes, we are a nonprofit in
a
Panama
nonprofit
as
also in
well.
Panama. So this fundraiser you have coming up, obviously, there's not going to be the fundraisers that we're used to.
Right.
Over at whichever facility with everyone packed in. So this is a digital fundraiser.
Well, we don't know because it's July 4th, and so we'll either be Zooming or we'll be Facebooking or something, but we're going to be drawing those tickets at the Rock out on the patio probably.
And they'll be supplying some wonderful appetizers for us.
So the first prize...
It's 4th of July. We have to celebrate.
That's right.
That's right. And so the first prize is a round trip for two to Boquete, and many things to do, like you're staying in an Airbnb owned by the Rock, and
The Riverside Inn?
Yeah, the Riverside Inn.
That right there is worth it.
I know. It's
That's a
glorious.
beautiful place. Yeah.
And you have some free dinners and some
Dinner
trips.
at the Rock.
Yeah.
Dinner at Boulder 54.
Yes.
Lunch
wow.
at Big Daddy's. Zip line.
I mean, you have everything that you could possibly, or $1,500 if you'd rather have $1,500.
No, take the man,
Take the fun.
Take the fun.
And the second prize is Bonaire, a week in Bonaire.
Sure.
You have to fly there, but I just spoke to Hikes yesterday, and he said that Bonaire is COVID-free. They're reopening everything. It's a big tourist spot.
Yeah.
It is the most wonderful dive spot in the world.
Wow.
It is wonderful. Or you can take the $800 instead. And then the third prize is, of course, coffee from Boquete. How could it not be?
I wonder where that comes from.
Single estate coffee. You'll get a pound of coffee a month for a whole year from various different fincas in Boquete.
Well,
so
I know what my favorite is.
Which one might that be? Vista Encanto coffee?
Yes. I tell you what, man. I have a giant Tupperware, right? Because you never put coffee in a freezer. Or
No. Humidity gets to it.
When it gets down to about a third, a little less than a third, I know I got about a week. And yes, I drink a lot of coffee, so I will be contacting you shortly. But anyway, those those are really, really generous gifts. And I know, okay, the cash is nice too, but there is so much to do here, and tourism really is kind of taking a hit.
Oh, a big hit.
So it would really help out if you won one of these things to actually go and do, because taking the cash is good. I mean, I wouldn't fault anyone for taking the cash, but if you're not, and you go to the tree trek, and you go to, well, now not only are you enjoying a gift, but you are also providing income for the people that work at those places.
And it's a great way to bring your family and friends here.
Yeah.
Get it, and if you live here and you don't want to spend it, just re-gift it.
Yeah, there you go. We can do that too.
Absolutely. You can bring those kids down.
Yeah.
Oh, our grandkids, as it were.
Yeah, I know. I miss my family. We were supposed to be in the States this week. My daughter, one of my daughters, graduated college, going from a master's program into a doctorate program, and we were all excited, to go there and watch her walk down with her cap and gown and all that. And of course, it was done virtually now, but I was also really wanting to see my grandbabies. I haven't seen them since Christmas. We try to get back twice a year, and it's going to be probably a year between by the time we get back, if we can get back for the holidays. So
exactly.
Hopefully they'll open all this up. But I will tell you this though, this pandemic has hurt so many people, and the poor people are hit so hard,
very hard,
that it's easy for those of us who have an income coming in, or those of us who have, money, to say, well, if you can't afford to feed your dog, you have no business being. And I have heard so many people say that.
It is so not the truth.
No, it's not.
Part of the
sad.
family.
Yeah.
Part of the family. You can't just say,
No.
no, I'm not going to feed my child.
But
Children.
they're letting them loose because they think they have a chance in the garbage cans.
A better chance in the garbage cans.
In the garbage
yeah.
cans than they do at their house, because.
And they probably do.
And they probably do, because the people have, they're back to rice and beans or whatever they have, and so it is very sad. So, please help your neighbors. If you see any, like yesterday, I was over in the Oriana area, and there's a little indigenous encampment just beyond Oriana. So all of these dogs are coming up through Oriana.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to one of the owners, and there is a lady feeding the dogs. So, you know what? I'm taking her some dog food.
Well, look
and she's a Panamanian lady, so I just know she doesn't have the money to feed all of those animals.
And it's not, it's so easy, to pass judgment. When you have an income coming in, a lot of us here have either rental properties, we have Social Security, we have an income that doesn't depend on the Panamanian economy. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to fall into that cycle of judgment, and every time, I'm not a violent guy, but every time I hear someone say these people, I want to,
those are our neighbors. Those are our neighbors. We're the visitors.
It's such a hard decision to have to, to get to that point in your economic survival, to make the decision that you would have to let essentially a member of your family out so they can fend for themselves, is a very difficult decision to make. And a lot of the people who are in that position, that's not a decision that they make lightly. Right. And to pass judgment, to pass judgment on them, or to do, to make ugly comments, it doesn't help anybody, but it's not helping them, it's not helping their family. They would love to have their animals back home with them.
Well, instead of making nasty comments and everything, just go buy a bag of food.
Buy a bag of food, yeah.
Buy a bag of food, give it to your neighbor. Yeah. Or divide it up into three and give it to three neighbors, for crying sakes.
I mean, if we figure out, when you go to the grocery store and we do our shopping, the things that we pick out, you look in your shopping cart, and there's junk food, Cheetos and Pop-Tarts and pretzels and chocolate and.
Okay, I bought Fritos yesterday.
Oh well, no. But that really isn't a necessity, And I know I admit, my name is Al. I am an Oreo-holic. I will go buy a whole bag of Oreos, and they'll be gone in 2 days, and ice cream and all that. But when you add all that up over a month, maybe you're spending a couple $100s on comfort food, and you could take 15% of that and buy a 15-20 pound bag of dog food.
Or you go in the grocery store for one thing and come out with 7?
Oh gosh, yeah. I did that in the States with Walmart.
Yeah.
Day and I used to call it the $100 store.
Yeah.
Because you go in, even if you go in for a $5 item, you walk out and you spend $100.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
At least.
It's like, but stuff's like barnacles. Just attaches itself to you. Almost throws itself into your shopping cart. But yeah, it's not really a hardship for so many of us to buy a bag of dog food. To buy, what are some of the other things? I mean, I know food is important.
Well, someone gave us a bunch of topical
flea medicine,
tick and flea medicine, and you see these little guys. This is the tick time of the year, and you see these little guys, and they're scratching like that, and
biting,
But honestly, our Panamanian neighbors, they just think that's normal. They don't understand that there is something that can be done. But I explain to people the topical solution, or even if they're taking ivermectina orally, that helps for internal parasites as well as external. So you can help people by just doing that. Or if like recently I had a death in my dog family, and so I have a Seresto collar that I can share with someone, that I just put on 2 months ago, and those things are good for 8 months.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so those are the kinds of things that you can help people with.
It's like flea collars, topical
the
flea
topical,
spray, things for ticks, and
even if you just bought some soap, flea and tick soap,
flea and tick
you know, they could give them a bath, and that
Yeah.
would give their dogs such relief.
And they do have, what we use at the clinic is a spray-on flea medicine that we put on a paper towel and wipe them down, and it's quite expensive. It's $8 a bottle, but it's very concentrated. You know, if they want to go to Muscoda's or in the other places and buy these things and just leave them there and tell them they're for Amigos Molly's, we'll go by and we'll pick them up. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Or they could even leave money in an envelope at
Mailboxes.
And mailboxes.
Mailboxes
Yeah.
is a good place to leave money.
Yeah.
And they'll definitely hold it. They're great people over there.
Yeah.
They do a wonderful job
Of supporting the community.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. You know, and I had, I know this isn't just a local area here. Before the world fell apart, I had Heiss on the show. And obviously, you know, he's involved in
Right.
everything. I mean,
Right.
province-wide, even on the other side of the canyon.
Right.
And he was sharing with me that the needs aren't just localized in one spot.
Oh,
It's
no
pretty
way.
much everywhere. And you know, we can't do much for communities outside of the Boquete district, but we can do a lot in the Boquete district. And by the way, the Boquete district extends from the northern border, which is what
It is huge.
Los Donaños, and up there,
Orientito.
Altolino, all the way down to the Dolega border,
Yeah.
and includes Francis.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a geographical
Huge. It's like
area.
LA. It
Yeah,
really is.
it's basically 2/3
I mean,
of
Caldera
of,
is part of us,
of
for
Cherokee.
crying sakes.
of Cherokee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's huge.
that is a huge area to cover.
Yeah.
And
But we have a solution for that too.
Okay.
We are the solution people at Animales.
yes.
So you give us a problem, we find a solution. So our next big deal will be, after this fundraiser is over, is we were going to start putting money toward a vet van. And that vet van
Travel.
is going to go
Yeah.
into those communities that cannot bring their animals to us.
Yeah, I am so glad
So
to
we
hear that.
are so excited about that. We know it's going to take some money. And I was talking to Hikes yesterday, you know, at first we were thinking, oh man, this is going to be, we'll just get one totally already done,
yeah.
you know, which would be perfect. We'd love to have, and I saw one on the internet, of course, it was a sterilization van. This
Yeah.
vet had gone up into the remote
Oklahoma.
areas of Oklahoma, like out on the reservations and so forth. But he retired, and so then he wanted to sell his van. It's sold, and it was like the logistics of getting it from Oklahoma
Oh
to
yeah,
to
God, the
Boquete.
shipping on that alone.
Yeah, the shipping and all of that. So then I began to think, okay, Ruby, how did we start? Okay, we started with a couple of tables in a gymnasium.
Uh-huh.
We can get a van. We can put a couple of tables. We can do the bare necessities.
Yeah.
Have our vet. We will have 1 or 2 volunteers assisting. You know, we will go to a community like Caldera, for instance. Hikes, of course, wants us to go to Potrillos, Bugaba.
Yeah. Well, the road
El
is for sale.
Flor.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
The road
The
is
new
for sale,
road.
by the way.
Yeah, this is for sale.
This is for sale. yeah.
And, those kinds of things. And we get that. Hey, we have the solution. We got it. And you'll be hearing a lot more about it after we finish, after July 4th.
Well, it's like I said, it's really good to hear that, because Heiss and I have talked about that on the show, and we also joked about, yes, this RV is for sale, there's a bathroom back there, it's got all the hookups, but we talked about that and at length. I think we spent almost a third of the whole show talking about the need for that, and he was explaining as to these remote areas where you can't get in there without
You
vehicle.
almost need a four-wheel
vehicle.
a four-wheel
a
drive.
four-wheel, and they make four-wheel vans.
Yeah,
you
of course
can
they
get
do.
in there. but also that the people that live there, they don't
have no transportation.
They can't get out to the
It's not like you
clinics.
can call a taxi and load up your dog.
Yeah.
You know, and if anyone's listening and has contact with somebody who has a vehicle such as that, contact us, because we are looking for something.
Yeah, we're looking for an empty van that we can, organize the way we need it to be organized.
Four-wheel.
Yeah, four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive.
And we have a vet who's willing to help us. And so...
And it can be a tax deduction.
Yeah, could be.
So...
And again, we know there's people out there that could just say, what is that, 50 grand? Here you go.
Yeah, let me write you that
Actually,
check.
not even that much.
Yeah.
We're looking at something around max $30,000.
And that's with all the equipment.
That's tricked out.
I'll tell you what.
It doesn't have to be brand new.
We had...
No, absolutely not.
Day and I have utilized mobile vets almost exclusively. We're married, we're together 30 years, and every dog that we've had has been a rescue. We've never gone to a puppy mill. We did rescue a puppy from a puppy mill. They had a boot. Well, you really can't even call it. It was like a fair. These little carnivals that come around.
Right.
And there was this guy who had all these cages lined up, and he was selling these puppies. And they were in horrible condition, and I did not get in the car that morning with the intention of getting in, because at that point we had a lot of dogs. And I went there with my daughter and my wife, and we saw this little black puppy. And we were talking. I was like, well, I don't want to support the puppy mill.
Right.
But then there's the puppy.
I want to support the puppy.
I want to support the puppy. So I gave the guy $100, and that's the only time we ever really did that. But that we didn't go out looking, to a pet store.
Right.
So we've had rescues, a lot of them over the years, and usually when we get them, they weren't sterilized. They had worms. They were just And there's this company in part of Georgia we lived in where they had like 8 of these vans. It was a major veterinary operation. They had 8 of these fully functional vans, and they were put on Facebook what shopping centers they were going to be at.
Exactly.
It was usually a Walmart or a Kmart or something like that. And it was so convenient. You drive up in the morning, you drop your pet off, they give you a ticket, and then you come back later in the day.
Are they still in business?
Yeah.
Do they want to retire any of their vans?
Well, they're in the Atlanta area, and it's called West Mobile Vet. And they've got a really nice facility. We've had 2 of our pets sterilized actually at their facility because we were arranging to come here. But yeah, they're wonderful. Anyone who does this is providing such an unbelievably needed service, because not everyone can get to the vet. Not everyone can afford to go to the vet, because when you bring an animal to a location, well, you're also having to pay not just for the visit but for the upkeep and all of that. So it's generally more expensive. And transportation.
Well, one of the things when we do our clinics, we have collectors.
Yes.
And the collectors go out to the area and collect numbers of dogs.
And
Carmen Sita will bring 20 to 40 animals.
Yeah.
She brings them in, goes back for another trip.
Yep.
And Diomedes
brings
El Flores. He's been working with us for 9 years. He has no car.
No transportation.
I send my truck and a driver, and we load up El Flor and bring it in. El Flores in Dolega. And bring them in. And we've been doing that for years and years.
I really hope that you can, and I'm really going to promote that as much as I can, because I know from personal experience, being able to, load my dog in the car, or, and drop it off and say, okay, and I don't know how you'd work it. I know that the way this other place did it is you drop them off, they give you a ticket. Kind of like, so they know who you are.
Yeah, right.
And then you'd say, okay, we'll be done at 1. And, during your lunch break, you go back and you get your dog, and it's all done. And we've had them do surgeries. We've had them do a number of different procedures, just out of the van. And while we were there, obviously, you strike up a conversation with other people, that are there. And you always kind of hear the same thing, This parking lot is 6 blocks from my house. I can walk with my dog here, but the nearest vet's office is 7 miles away.
Exactly.
I don't have a car. And if that problem exists in the States,
oh yeah,
it's 100 times.
It is 100 times worse here. Absolutely.
Well, this vehicle can also be used not just for sterilization, but for general checkup and health related to.
Yeah, we're looking at doing vaccinations because Caldera seems to be the distemper capital of the world, at least in Cherokee. And so we've had more than one vaccination clinic in Caldera because distemper is a horrible disease. And it's
what is distemper? Because a lot of people hear about it, but
it's the runny nose, and it goes from dog to dog. Eventually, they die.
So
they
is it
stop
contagious
eating.
from dog to dog?
Extremely contagious. So
Mainly
if it's in this yard, it goes to that yard. Parvo is really the puppy disease, and they also get that, but largely it's distemper in Caldera. And so when Judy Odom lived out there, we did 2 or 3 vaccinations. Wow. And I mean, people, they brought them in. Here's the fun thing, is that guys on horseback would come down. We would give them syringes to take back to their houses to administer to their dogs at their home, because they couldn't put the dog on the horse and bring it down. And so, I mean...
That'd be a nice trick, though, for the cabalgata, right?
Yeah, right. But those are the kinds of things, it's that people, when you give them the opportunity, they come up with their solutions. And so that's what we're the opportunity and the solution people. So we'll be doing things like that as well with that van. It's not just going to be a sterilization van, which is, of course, our passion.
Sure.
But it's going to be used and utilized.
Again, I could tell you from personal experience, this company that we use in Georgia was West Mobile Vet. It wasn't just sterilizations; they did a whole, vaccinations. And they give you packages. Yeah. So, okay, if you have we'll sterilize your dog for $20 if you buy our vaccination package, which was $35, or $40. So basically, for $75, you go in there, you get your animal sterilized, all the vaccinations they need, and the convenience of it. And I know that sounds like, it's inconvenient, but an inconvenience to us to me may be going to Baru and they're out of Oreos, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's more than an inconvenience when you really, really want to take some proactive action with your pet, but you have no way of doing it.
Well, see, the wonderful thing here is that most of our Panamanian friends live in an agriculture area. They are so used to taking care of their animals at their house.
Sure.
And so if we provide, like we did, these guys on horseback, syringes, they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And it's not like we have to have a training on site, because they've been doing this all of their life, and their father before them. Yeah. And so what we're doing is hopefully supplying. That one particular year, those vaccinations, puppy vaccines were donated and brought in by a vet out of Colorado. It was like $1,500 worth of stuff that he was able to bring in. And boy, we just vaccinated Caldera like it was great. And he was here, and his wife, and we went to the little agropecuaria and right there in Caldera, and it was, people just were coming, and we, we just got into the back of a pickup truck and went to the house and did the vaccination. I mean, it was just like we were cowboys. It was great.
One thing that has impressed me most about Amigos Down Molly's during the clinics is when we first started doing them, there were a lot of Americans that were there, expats, extraneos. Yeah. Then we got to the Panamanians, the upper scale Panamanians. And when we started seeing the indigenous women come in with their child and their animal, we realized we finally made it.
Yeah.
We finally got to
made
them.
That connection.
And the hardest part to begin with was the machismo. He's a male dog. No, we don't do this to male dogs. We're not going to do this.
No.
Once we went over that hurdle, it's like the whole indigenous community and the no-lead and everyone else started to understand. And they're what percentage of our clinics are they now these days?
The Panamanians?
Yeah, or the
95%.
Yeah, 95%.
We get a few expats, but largely
they don't want to wait.
The few clinics that Day and I had volunteered at, and this was last year. Day was in recovery, you know, because she likes rubbing the belly. And I was in intake with Ken. You know
Right.
Ken.
Yeah.
Obviously. You
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
of course we know Ken.
We injected Ken too, by mistake.
Dr. Shelley
I
did.
think I was there for that one. I think I was there for
You
that
went
one.
down like a light.
Like
Oh
a
my
little
gosh.
hallucination from the ketamine.
Poor
All
guy.
right.
But I do remember seeing Panamanians coming in, and it wasn't just that they were coming in with their dog under their arm. They had, you know,
Dresses.
expensive, you know, like collars and what do you call harnesses
Leashes.
that you can tell that they had made not just an emotional investment in their pet, but a financial one too.
Yeah, that's been an interesting, you know, because it was at our February clinic, this lady brought a really small dog
With a skirt.
with the skirt
That's
and
right.
wanted it on during the operation.
Right.
Wanted it on during the operation,
Oh.
which is not possible because
Yeah.
we go through the belly.
Sure, yeah.
But she was just wanted to be sure her dog was dressed for sterilization.
Oh wow, that's too funny.
So they bonded with their animals. It's not just
Yeah.
it's just not a play toy for
Well,
the
you
children
see
anymore.
these people out there, and so what is really great too is to see people helping your neighbors. You know, you can pay for that sterilization.
Sure.
It's $15
Yeah.
and $8 for a cat.
Yeah.
And I mean, $15 to a guy who's making $25 a day is a heck of a lot
Yeah.
of money. But if you can help them, they get it. They get it.
Yeah.
That we don't have to put up with, you know, their understanding. I do not want more puppies and kittens.
Well, yeah.
I want the one I have.
Yeah.
And not to be hassled with male dogs, you know, when their female is in heat or
Mhm.
or something. And I mean, they have really embraced this idea.
Yeah.
I mean, Spay Panama, just for instance, has sterilized over 200,000 animals in the
Wow.
15 years they have been in business.
200,000.
200,000.
Where do
Yeah.
they come from? Where do they keep coming from?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well,
They're
yeah.
dropping in.
Yeah.
It really is raining cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs. Wow, that, you know, but you know what? When you hear numbers like that, you know, you have to think, well, how many,
How have we missed?
many have we missed? I
During
mean,
these 4 months?
During these 4 months, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, and it's interesting though when you know, going back to how the Panamanian community have embraced their animals as pets and family members, not just, you know, utilities. My little Camila was a guard dog, and a guard dog up in the Comarca was literally chained
Right.
on a concrete pad on a
Right, yeah.
3 foot chain, and that's where she lived for 2 years. And when we got her, she didn't know how to be a pet.
Right.
You know, she wouldn't come in
Exactly.
the house. We had to coax her in the house. We had to coax her up on the couch. Of course, now she's got her spot on the
She
bed.
got it.
Yeah, she's fine now.
She's
figured it
trained
out.
you well.
She has. Oh, yes, yes. Every night we have our 3 dogs, and we're like, "Can we come on our bed now? Thank you very much."
The other thing that's really interesting, before this virus thing happened, was I would see more and more people having their dogs on leashes when they were walking on the road.
Yeah.
That is the most recent difference. Before they wouldn't. You know, the dog would run after the car. And
Yeah.
you're like, my God, hit this dog, oh my God. But now, as they come down, because I live in Alta Jaimeo, as they come down, I'm seeing them on leashes, I'm like, yeah, they're getting it, you know?
And we've noticed
yeah.
that, you know, we have a fenced yard, and we have tiny dogs. So for the most part, you know, they stay within the yard. But we like to, well, when I say we, I mean they. Boy, I say that a lot. She goes for walks. She likes to go for walks. And when we were living up here in this neighborhood here, it was great. We'd get our little harness on and we'd take them up and down the road. But downtown where we live, there's a lot of loose dog, a lot of strays.
Loose dogs.
And they're
coming where the food is.
well, they're also coming with aggression.
Yeah.
And now, you know, when Day's out for a walk, she carries with her a stun gun. Has never used it on an animal because they hate that
Just
sound.
that sound, yeah.
Oh, they hate that sound. But and it's always worked. But these last month and a half, she's run into larger dogs that don't respond. And at that point, you bend down, you pick up a rock. She would never.
Right.
She would never.
Just you have
Just
to
to
just
show 'em,
act
yeah.
like
just to show them, and that seems to work. But
because they're
you know,
used to that
Yeah.
response.
but that's a problem that maybe a lot of people don't consider. There is the need not only to sterilize these animals and feed them and make sure they're not abused. What do you do? What's the solution for the aggressive? Because they charge.
Right.
I mean, my little dogs are a snack to some of these dogs. So
But why are they coming downtown?
Yeah, that's
They're
they're hungry.
It's where the food is, and they're going to. And we saw that before, and then once they started getting food, getting back, where people are working and they can feed their animals and they're able to eat at the house. They're not coming downtown anymore.
Yeah.
You're rarely seeing them, and of course our sterilization clinics
Right.
have kept them at bay,
Yeah.
if you will.
One
And
other thing I
that's
want to mention
tough.
is we've been doing education program.
the
Sherry
schools.
Sherry Schmidt has been doing a fabulous job.
she's
we have some other
wonderful,
people.
isn't she?
Yeah.
I love that woman.
She doesn't say no.
I know.
But she started putting together an education program.
Yeah.
And when the children were in school, we were doing this program, and it was working out really well
Yeah.
because, if you educate the child, then the
Sure.
child educates the father,
Yeah,
grandfather,
well,
etc.
Day has hooked up with her, and she's gone on many of those.
Great.
And I remember we're sitting watching TV, and there's Day sitting next to me, making dog toys, making cat toys. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, we're going up to here." And at one point, I think she sat there and made about 60 these little cat toys, cat and dog toys. And she would go with Sherry up there and explain that exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you teach the children
Right.
that these are family members, then they will in turn teach their parents or their older siblings, and then eventually it will become systemic,
Right.
like it is in the States. Yes, she's wonderful, man.
Yeah,
what they do there is
education.
absolutely
Education is-
fantastic.
It's a key to
Is
it.
really a key.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too. I remember we were over in Volcan, and it's just Javier and Magali and I were invited by Dottie Atwater, who runs the sterilization clinic in Volcan,
Yeah.
to come to this gymnasium to speak. And they had this whole class of kids come in, and of course Javier and Magali are bilingual. Me, I was just the tag along. But it was so great as they were talking about taking care of animals, and do you have any pit bulls, and they were starting to talk about what kind of dogs the
Sure.
animals had, and the kids are so wonderful because they're open. They're going, "Oh no, my dad puts a cadena around my dog, the chain."
The little chain, yeah.
And so, but they're just so innocent, because they're looking at that thinking, well, that's how you treat your dogs.
Yeah.
But we're here to tell you there are different ways to treat your dogs.
Well,
Other than that.
those kids at the school,
Right.
the ones that what I found really heartwarming is the ones that don't have a pet, don't have a dog or a cat. They were taking the dog and cat toys because they know someone in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
Well, I don't have one, but my neighbor does. A little girl down the street's got a little puppy, and she doesn't go to school or whatever. So it's working. It's that's getting around there, and education absolutely is. If you don't know, there's no shame in not knowing.
Right.
But
right.
once you are told,
Right.
you have, I think
Have
for me,
an
you
obligation.
have an obligation to do something. Unless there are people who they're not animal people, but you don't
Right.
have to be an animal person.
Right.
You know an animal person, and if you know an animal person is having a hard time, their animal's having a harder time,
Exactly.
and which
Which
circles
is more
back.
stress on them.
Yeah, which circles back to the buy a bag of dog food,
Right,
buy
exactly.
a flea shampoo or something.
Yep.
Every grocery store here has a section that has.
Yeah, and
that
it doesn't
stuff.
matter whether you speak Spanish or not.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are hesitant. For criminy sakes, go meet your neighbors
Yeah.
and see how their animals are, and see if there's something that you can help them with.
Yeah.
And certainly with the sterilization, with the food, and just show them support, and not that you have more money than they, but we're all in this together,
Yeah.
and we're sharing and helping our animals be healthy and be fed.
And I know
taken
there's,
care of.
pride has a lot to do with it, and I totally understand that, but you don't have to be a jerk about it.
Right.
You know, you can be genuine and just tell someone, look, I want to help.
Exactly.
Or just leave the food without
Or
saying
just
anything.
leave the
Just leave the food.
Just leave it there.
Well,
Be a Santa Claus.
We even gave some food to Mayor Joswar Alcalde at the very first, out of our first bunch of food. We left him bags of dog food and cat food because he was delivering food to the families.
Sure.
And we also were able to deliver some gloves because we had an excess at Animales. And then
Some mask also.
our final donation has been the N95 masks to Policlinica. Policlinica, which was really cool. I was just going through some old boxes and I see masks and I'm going,
What?
wow, they're N95s. Okay, we're sending them off to the human people because they really need them to protect themselves and the people who are coming. So
well, you know, it's kind of a circle of life thing. You know, you help somebody with something that they don't really feel that they have the ability to do or they can't do, like helping them feed their animals, you know, so they don't have to turn them loose.
right,
That takes some of the pressure and the stress off of them on that,
exactly.
which helps something else they might be going through. You know, we all want to return to whatever the normal is going to be, and everybody wants to get back to work. I know that the Panamanian people that I know are anxious to get back to work.
Yes,
They
are.
want to, you know, go
Yes.
to return to being able to support their family.
Exactly.
But it's important that they know that we're a community here.
Right.
You know,
Correct.
we're not.
We're not
you know,
them,
Yeah.
You know,
and they're not them.
no, and
We're
not.
we.
We're we, and it's not a judgment. It's not any kind of anything negative. You know, a lot of us just want to help, and if we have the ability to help, if we have extra cash, if we can buy dog food, if we can help with whenever sterilizations come back, with vaccines, the fundraisers, a van. Anyone out there's got an extra 30 grand laying around with nothing to do with it? Animales wants a van, so you know you could really
Get that tax credit.
Get that tax credit. It's a nice tax credit there, but yeah, it's just I know it's very easy in these times to kind of be myopic. I mean, we all
Right.
have our
Right.
issues that we're dealing with.
Of course.
But
Staying separate.
yeah,
You know, we're almost forced with our masks
Yeah.
and our distancing.
but the
And our
expat,
hours.
but the expat community though has historically here been very generous.
Very
They are.
generous.
And,
Extremely generous. Applause for
Yes,
Boquete.
and
All the charities and everything is amazing.
yeah. I mean, I've had you guys. I've had obviously I've had Heist. I've had the other
Vecinos,
I've had
hospice.
Dog
hospice. I've had the what's his name over there in town there, ACCB, Joe and Linda Hart.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I have, and I try to focus on groups like Animales and that, because the purpose of this show here is to put a pointing finger to all the people out here who are part of this community and are doing wonderful things to help the community. And that generosity of the expat community here is just, it's heartwarming. It really
It
is.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
so
very heartwarming.
and I know that there's people out there that are behind the scenes. Not everybody, you know, wants that.
Right, the acknowledgement.
The acknowledgement,
You know,
and-
they like
and
being anonymous.
They like being anonymous, and
That's fine with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 You know, we need a lot of people behind the scenes also. You know, if somebody's out there who can do other things than come to the clinic and don't like the blood and gore, you know, we're always looking for creative people to come up with ideas for how to fundraise or marketing or Facebook or something of that sort.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in helping with Amigos Down Molly's, besides the clinics, reach out to us because we don't say no to anything. Throw us an idea and we'll see what we can
Yeah.
work with.
And I'll put. I'm going to put all that. You're going to email me the whatever
Back
information. I'll get the website up there, and just to make sure everybody knows how to get hold of you guys, so no one can say, "Well, I didn't know."
Yeah.
Well,
And actually, if they're in town and they have to be running around, they can go to mailboxes and make a donation. And also, mailboxes has some of the fundraiser tickets. So does Mike's and the Rock.
Rock's got to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know,
Very cool. Well, we're pretty much about out of time here. I really want to thank Ruby and Carol for coming. It's always so much fun to have you guys on the show. And you've been listening to BoqueteNOW Talk Radio, 103.3 FM on Radio Cherokee. My guest today from Amigos de Animales. And look for my post on Facebooks, etc., with all the information on there. We are sponsored again by Big Daddy's Grill, Boulder 54, and Tap Out Sport Zone. Thank you very much for your time and attention and for your generosity. Don't forget, 30 grand goes a long way. Paso buen día, mi amigos, and I will talk to you and see you in town next week. Thank you, ladies, very much.